Live. Hello and welcome back to This Is the Wave, a Star Wars discussion show for the Disney Plus series The Acolyte. I'm Ollie Johnson and I'm here with several others. Let's go around this metaphorical table to introduce everyone. Sound off, guys.
Murasaki's Pit.
I'm TriggerGoblin.
I'm Dan Murgatroyd.
Alright. So, guys, The Acolyte episode 5? 6, is it? It's episode 6.
It's episode 6, but it's week 5.
Week 5, episode 6, because Disney keep dropping double episode premieres, which I don't complain about at the time, but it does make these confusing. Yeah. So, would anyone like to kick us off?
Well, I think this was going to be this episode. It was literally, it was quite a slow paced after the last one.
Yeah.
I sort of expected as much. I'm surprised they didn't do the flashback episode this episode.
No, it looks like they're leading into it next episode, though.
Flashback of telling the story to May, and Osha then seeing it because she's in the sensory deprivation cortosis helmet.
Yeah, that's
you.
Yeah, and that's an interesting idea, sensory deprivation cortosis helmet.
Yeah. I mean, it makes some sense given like the Jedi training is you can't don't rely on your senses; they cannot be trusted.
Trust the Force.
As demonstrated in A New Hope, when Obi-Wan puts the helmet with the blast shield down on Luke's head, and he then goes from being zapped in the hands by the training droid to deflecting, I think, 3 or 4 shots immediately.
It was nice for them to answer the where they get it from as well.
Yeah.
It was just like, now he mined that shit himself, and it's like, fair play.
Yeah.
Oh, one of the like having a problem because you want to have a problem with something. Problems that someone is having is how can he weld something that could stand up to a lightsaber? Because that's how that works, isn't it?
You just use something that's not a lightsaber.
Yeah, it specifically stands up to plasma, and it's shown to be very brittle otherwise. Given the fact that a teenager could have broke it with a hilt.
Like, how do you make bulletproof glass? Yeah,
That's such a weird thing to insist on having an issue with.
Yeah, it's entirely possible, given highly advanced technology, that the tool he's using is a solder tool, so he's literally soldering it together rather than welding it.
Yeah.
Which relies. My understanding of the difference is one melts a medium to bind 2 materials, whereas the other melts 2 materials. So there's also like it's advanced technology. Mumbo jumbo technology is sort of like we have as much understanding as how any of this works as the sonic screwdriver from either Doctor Who or Star Trek or the tricorder.
Well, there's lots of things that you have to process in a certain way, or they just don't work. I'm sure,
Yeah, it's not that big a leap.
No.
Yeah.
I don't agree. It's had to have a special process to make it. Is the best we're going to get out of it.
So obviously he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Theoretically, there's nothing saying that it's not just a huge piece of metal that he's hollowed out from the. It could just be pure, like, ore.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it could just be Sorry.
It would make sense that it's more ore than processed metal, because processed cortosis is sort of like to create cortosis weave, as it's called, always results in a material that is resilient to a lightsaber but cannot shut it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas raw cortosis is what turns a lightsaber off. It's why the Imperial Knights of the Legacy era, 127 to 130 and 142 ABY, they had gauntlets made of pure cortosis for lightsaber opponents, because there's an entire order of Jedi running out at the time. Whereas a battleship could still be destroyed because its hull only had some cortosis in it. Yeah, they used to make starship hulls out of that material.
Yeah.
In case you
why-
you dropped your lightsaber vertically.
Mm,
Perfectly
Well,
fucking vertical.
it's why the doesn't work on them, because it just dissipates the energy straight away. And the same is true for a plasma bolt or a turbo laser. So it's very good in starship hulls, as it protects very well from energy weapons. Absolutely shit addition if someone uses like a railgun or a mass driver,
Oh yeah.
because it doesn't.
Any of the
Doesn't
normal
make the
things
hull
they'd be
any
shooting at you.
Yeah, it's like because of the invention of shield technology and planetary shields, they just abandoned railguns and mass drivers on starships for about 20,000 years, and then brought them back for the Clone Wars, where they did absolute work.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of something I heard about the Mandalorian Wars, where they realized that laser blasts weren't cutting it against Jedi, so they just went back to bullets. And if
and
or slugs
fire.
as they call them.
Yeah. But I also just love the idea that when he thought, right, he can parry shift. Parry this, you fucking casual, and just unleash a flamethrower.
Yeah.
Which
I'm
actually,
surprised they didn't have
terrible.
acid sprayers.
Mm,
But like,
Yeah.
if a lightsaber blocks a bullet, what
Well-
you've got is a face full of burning shrapnel.
yeah,
Ugh.
yeah. Though Strax would do relatively well against a Jedi, and then we shall melt him with acid.
Yeah.
A favourite of Ollie's, Strax.
Yeah. I liked Strax.
And
Yeah,
me.
he's a good character. It's the comic relief. He's like, you can't go wrong with a good comic relief character.
I see a lot of people of a certain. Oh, can everyone get on the Twitch stream if you're not already? By the way, thank you. And I see a certain, shall we say, contingent of the fans having a big problem with this episode because it looks superficially similar to The Last Jedi. Like with
This one only done well.
sorry,
Only this was done well.
The Last Jedi was done well.
I'll just bring opinions of The Last Jedi aside.
I have my share of problems with that movie, but I never get to talk about those because I'm always defending it in the name of intellectual honesty against spurious bullshit.
Well, anyway,
Doesn't that just describe being in the Star Wars fandom, though?
Yeah, I suppose.
anyway, I didn't mind this episode. I liked that it felt like they were going to reveal that they'd switched in some way, but obviously nothing came of that.
Yeah. Well, Soul
I
just
like
kind
the
of
fact that
figured it out, didn't he?
Mate, Soul was just like, I'm not stupid.
Yeah, but he's also not being aggressive about it. I think in his own way, he's trying to show, like, he knows she sees him in a certain way. But as a Jedi, he could probably sense her, malicious intent, or he can tell the difference between the two via something very subtle.
That'll Basil let in.
Well,
Yeah.
Basil, yes, but
Yeah.
there's also the fact that he's saying that he's going to, hand himself over to the council and everything. one thing I found interesting as well is when they're mentioning about this Jedi being investigated and how defensive that what's her face was about the entire thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like personally that the droid is obviously evil now.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
No, but it's just how defensive she is when they're like, "Look, it's just a regular investigation." Like, yes, but they've never been fans of the Jedi. And it's like, and all I'm thinking of is, what have you got to hide exactly?
Yeah, what are you
Well,
hiding?
what's going on in the rest of the Acolyte?
I'm not going to say, and I'm not going to make assumptions here, but I'm suspicious down to that purple lightsaber as well.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't exactly think she's on. I'm not saying she's evil per se. I'm simply going to say that she's probably a cunt.
Oh, she's
Wasn't purple that risky color in between?
Yeah. That was
That's kind of what I'm trying to get to,
Yeah.
but
Purple held that a bit in Legends, but not so much anymore in canon, thanks to
yeah, but it's also a lot of it is also just down to the way she behaves as well, because she doesn't have that for someone who's meant to be like a Jedi Master. She doesn't have that whole stoic, I want to say, professionalism about them.
Yeah, that serene quality.
That's what yeah. Basically, she seems a lot more emotional and combative.
Yeah, as I said, can't remember if it was 2 or 3 streams ago. She strikes me as she is a realist amongst the Jedi, and she is a politician. She sees that the golden age of the Jedi is about to end, and she's doing
Yeah, I
everything.
remember you saying that, but it's the way she's going about it. Like, she's got.
Yeah.
I was worried she was going to blame Sol for everything, but she was quick to suddenly just go, "Yeah, that would be convenient, but no, it isn't." And like, it's when she said something like something to tip the scales. Like, she knows what's coming, but
Yeah.
it also feels like she's like she knows she can't really do jack shit about it.
Yeah.
Like, she can't. Speaking of that guy, my God, it's so nice to see him in his own personality.
Yeah, it's completely different character.
I was trying to say, I was saying to you earlier, like, if he's trying to convince her, he's doing a better job of it than Sidious would have done. But Sidious was a lot more blatant and forward with it, like, yeah, your life's all fucked now. It's probably, don't you just hate me? Yeah, you hate me, don't you? You've got a murder boner for me. Go on, pick up your weapon, bitch. Go on. This one's more like, look, I get it. I was a Jedi and it fucking sucked. Look, this is my experience, but you can leave if you want to. You know, I'm just doing a good thing, because he's never once referred to himself as a Sith. He seems to be a bit more
Yeah.
outside of it, although he did say he wants the rule of 2 back.
Well, they seem to blatantly be trying to invoke a kind of chill Kylo Ren. Yeah. Yeah. Because
Kylo
that's
Ren
the vibe I'm getting. Sorry?
Smilo Ren notwithstanding.
Smilo Ren. Yeah. Well, well, outside of combat, obviously, his style is brutal, but also, like, you know, he's quite efficient.
Oh God. Efficient enough that Mog, I believe he was called, the Jedi Padawan, and thought that only a fallen Jedi Master could have done this, and started to level an accusation against Sol, who hadn't helped himself by turning off his transponder and traveling away mere moments before they turned up.
Yeah, you can sort of tell where this is going, can't you? What do we think of the light whip, by the way?
I like the light whip, but you know what? I'll say exactly what Rick said when someone said they wanted a light whip. Go ahead, but don't come crying to me when you accidentally whip your own dick off.
The light whip has always been perhaps the hardest variant of the lightsaber to master. Completely and utterly understandable why it is, because
But
I mean,
again, it requires a lot of discipline. But Space Belmont is probably going to be a thing at some point.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I should correct myself. I said this while watching it with you, Mura. I was wrong about how long after the books it's set. It's only about a difference of 100 years.
Considering how many people actual whip.
Yeah.
I didn't catch.
Say that again, Trigger.
So when people are actually using an actual whip, they catch themselves so often. I'd hate to catch myself with that one.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Um,
because
Yeah.
this you're not going to leave a badass scar. And I've already explained to Hawk why the whip is a terrifying thing in its own right, without it being a lightsaber. Like, the reason it's used as a torture device isn't because of the damage it can do. It's because no matter how hard you toughen yourself up, a whip fucking hurts.
Yeah.
To the point that in most
Yeah.
cases, people do not die of the actual damage the whip does. They die because the pain is so excruciating, the body just gives up and just dies because it doesn't want to put up with it anymore. So put that with a lightsaber. I think the lightsaber kind of takes away that thing because it's given the whole practicality of, cutting things. So you could argue the light whip isn't as cruel as an actual whip.
The light whip will just cut you in half and be done
Yeah,
with
exactly.
it.
The light whip
actual
cuts
whip-
you. It does actual damage, and it's reliant on the actual damage it does to kill.
I mean, I suppose if you were in a duel with a light whip, it would be difficult to defend against.
Well, again,
Yes,
whips are it's all the angles it can hit from, and the split second reaction you'd have to have if it goes in certain angles. Absolutely, you've watched Castlevania.
Yeah.
There were two main light whip users in Legends canon. One of them died because the thought bomb that ended the New Sith Wars went off and reduced her to dust and ripped her soul out of her body. So, not that. And the other one stumped Luke Skywalker repeatedly until he decided to construct a second lightsaber. Interestingly, a red Shoto. So canonically, Luke is a Jedi who uses a red lightsaber in Legends, and he then managed to beat it. And in their final duel, after the death of Mara Jade, and he thought that his opponent was the one who killed them, he just went into beast mode and defeated her with one lightsaber and cut her head off for good measure.
Yeah, but
So
Luke
we're
would
all-
never
we're
be
all
tempted
agreed.
by the dark side, though, would he? That was just a bad film where he was momentarily tempted.
So we're all agreed, though.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool whips.
Yeah.
Cool whip.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's a cool whip.
Yeah,
also,
in the beginning. But yeah, that whole thing. I liked the fact that OSHA, with the stuff with OSHA, that I think both sisters are going to be experienced, different sides with each other. I kind of didn't figure that she wouldn't last with Star Wars being what it is. She wasn't going to be able to keep the facade up as much, and even her masters saying, yeah, she was weak.
But
they're also delving into OSHA's training as well, like mentioning why she's not a Jedi.
yeah,
She's a lot more powerful than what she gives off.
I
Though
mean,
she's claimed he failed, although he's claiming it's because they got rid of him. But it sounds more like he's speaking from it. Either he's speaking from experience, or he knows something that they don't.
yeah. Sorry, Dan. I think you were about to say something just then.
Was it about the lightsaber? Just interesting fact. It's a dual phase one, so it actually switches between the normal lightsaber and the lightsaber whip.
Ah.
On that, and yeah, it's not. It's sort of vaguely hinted at in the image, but it's not outright stated because, of course, that would ruin the seed stating all the specifications of the lightsaber. But it is of course what the moaning for moaning's sake fanboys want in those scenes.
I bet you there's people complaining.
Yeah.
I bet you there's people complaining, going, "Well, why don't all lightsabers do that?" I went, "Because it's stupid."
Because it's
also incredibly hard to make, and not every Jedi has the skill to wield a normal lightsaber competently, let alone one that is literally just flailing around in front of you.
So is there a button on it, do you think, that makes it do the tape measure thing where it just snaps back and goes...
Maybe.
See,
Uh,
it did seem to be when she was turning it off. And one last bit about it. That is the only scene we had from any trailers is where we saw that lightsaber in action. And I think also when Osha picks up Smilo Ren's lightsaber was the only other scene from the trailers we hadn't seen in an episode before today. So I think we've seen all of the footage from all the trailers they've released.
Interesting.
So we are in entirely new territory now. There's
Yeah.
no here is something that has to happen still.
Yeah. Although I will say, Cormier went all out with appeasing Osha because he put railings there for.
Yeah, we said that during.
Yeah. He was
Yeah.
OSHA compliant.
Yeah, no, he's also it's just sort of like this episode with Cormier actually marks quite an important Star Wars first. It's the first time that we canonically know someone got a full frontal view of another character naked with every.
I was literally saying to Ollie when he stepped out of the water, "Don't look at his penis. Don't look at his penis. Don't look at his penis." Oh God, I looked.
Now, Muggy, it's great that you brought that up, because did you see the scarring on his back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got whip markings on his back.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm starting to think because they mention, you know, that the guy's ashamed that he didn't recognize Smilo Ren's essence.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is a lot. There's a lot of people going because the scars look like whip marks, saying that Vanestra is the Sith Master. There's also a fair number of people who have said, most of them mockingly, of the people who genuinely believe this, that Mog is going to turn out to be Palpatine. It's sort of like the Jedi would not be anywhere near as chummy if Palpatine was a former member of their order. Of as demonstrated, and they would not sort of like if they sensed the dark side surrounding the Chancellor.
Yeah, I definitely thought they'd be watching much closer.
Yeah.
Also, I want to bring something up real quick. May reset Osha's droid, and that actually felt quite. It felt like quite the violation to me, because
that is quite a cold move to factory reset a droid, because even mind wiping doesn't.
Well, here's the question: do we think there's going to be a backup in the pad she's got?
Maybe.
Because I feel like that's something you'd store on the main device.
Yeah, it remains to be seen exactly how that's going to turn out, which is probably best put as well, Osha's going to be pissed if she finds out.
Yeah, definitely. Also, I want to bring something up. One of my slight issues with this series in general is not enough character time is given, so I appreciated this episode for doing a bit more of that, even if they didn't explore some concepts any deeper than I'd have liked. But, well, as deep as I'd have liked. But, Quamir implies that Osha liked Jeki, and, like, they've barely shared any screen time. Like, if they're trying to hint that there might have been a relationship there, that was not earned.
They cut that out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know from behind the scenes that Jeki's actress played her as if she was attracted to Osha.
Yeah.
But I've heard it been going the other way. But that's again behind the scenes in an interview.
Who, by the way, I recently found out, and I'm embarrassed I didn't know sooner, was the girl from Logan.
Yes, that Well, the makeup and the about best part of 10 years growing up will certainly do that.
Yeah. Also, I only watched Logan a couple of times. Like, it's a really good film, but it's rarely something I want to watch.
To be fair,
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad they cut that stuff out because it would have just fed some of the psychopaths out there.
I don't think.
Sorry, Ollie, you continue, then I'll go in.
I was going to say, I don't think you should make decisions based on how people who are determined to have a problem anyway will react. Because
Well, no, I'm just saying, I don't think it was needed, and I'm kind of glad that they didn't put it in because I don't think it was. It would have been there for just poking the bear.
yeah, you don't think it would have added anything.
No.
Yeah. Well, that's fair enough. I think, well, any kind of developing character relationship would have been a good thing to have in this show that doesn't seem to have a lot of time for that.
Yeah. The plan never was to have romance storyline or anything like that. It's just she decided that it felt right to play a character as if she was attracted to them, so it would sort of reflect bits of this is Jackie as a Jedi, this is Jackie as a person, more as.
Well, I'm more looking at it as in the. Well, Disney have obviously said, "Oh, this was in there, but we feel this isn't needed and will just annoy people," so they have removed it. And I'm like, if you're going to remove it for those reasons, that's probably a good reason to remove it because it's not part of the actual story needed.
Yeah, well, it never was. It was just an actor's choice in how they played the character.
Yeah.
I was brought up in that, and I think a lot of like the OSHA and like you liked Jackie as in you like them as they could be a friend, as opposed to you like them as they could be your girlfriend.
Well, he did go on to say, "Why do you keep loving people who can't love you back?" or something like that.
Why do you keep caring for people who can't care for you back? I think it was along those.
No, he used the word love, I'm pretty sure. Mura, do you remember this exchange?
I think it was about. It was more. I try to remember. I think it was. I'm with Dan on this one. I think it was on the caring thing because he was bringing up the thing. He was bringing up to them that they'd only care for you in the same way that everybody else cares. Like I think it was more of a they're not your friends. These people don't actually give half of a shit about you. You know, as much as your. I think the implication is more they only care about you so far as as you are as a Jedi, like just as a number, as part of the group.
Yeah,
Like
because
they
he brought
can't
up her
love.
relationship with Soul as
That,
well as kind of a father-daughter
that,
thing,
that,
maybe.
well, that's the thing. The Jedi are supposed to not like attachment. So that's the thing. They're not allowed to have. They're not really meant to have friends or care for anyone. But we all know that they don't do that
Well, they
at
do.
all.
They
They don't.
demonstrably do. Like,
We know that's the thing. They're not meant to have attachment, but they clearly do because there was clearly something between. There's clearly a friendship between Obi-Wan and Anakin. Because they actually again. Obi-Wan kept saying that he saw Anakin like a brother.
Yeah, they are total bros. He's like the
Yeah, but again, even by their own ruling, that wouldn't be something that's smiled upon.
So could I destroy the Jedi Order with a very cute basket of puppies?
Probably.
Possibly.
Just wait until each Jedi gets attached to them and then bolt a gun to the head.
It depends how draconian they want to be with their ruling.
We just proper Quick Kingsman this. Just give all the Jedi a puppy, and then you have to kill it. I destroy the Jedi Order instantly.
Although,
but yeah, I think the implication was that he was trying to tell her, stop caring about the Jedi, seeing them as your friends, because they don't see you the same way.
They'll never care for you like you care for them.
A one-sided thing, like they're not going to be. It's not a love or relationship thing. It's a literal. They will never see you as anything more than a Jedi or something that belongs to the Jedi Order. They will never see you as anything else.
They'll never see it coming. I'll send a load of clone troopers in and execute order. Puppy sleep long time now.
I mean, again, he also kept mentioning that he's been thrown, something about being thrown away.
Yeah.
Now, he never gave. I don't think he actually gave a proper answer. He said he was a former Jedi, so I think the implication is he was a Jedi, but they didn't give a shit, and something happened.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's starting to get on my nerves just a little bit where they keep hinting at things without actually exploring them. It's like we're more than halfway through the series now. You know, you can stop keeping us in suspense.
I'd say these last 2 episodes are going to have to be really packed.
Yeah, like, I mean, he still hasn't really told us what his way of using the Force is. He just keeps saying that, well, he keeps banging on the drum that the Jedi don't like anyone that doesn't subscribe to their worldview.
He doesn't say what his worldview is.
Yeah.
And I will back and stand. I do stand corrected. He does say love, but it's, why do you always love things that can never do the same for you? He does talk about Jackie before that, but it's the love is more of she loves things in general that can never reciprocate.
Yeah, including the droid, which is going to come back to bite May, I think.
Yeah,
that's its name.
Yeah, what he said specifically about Jackie, because I just looked it up. I've got it on mute in the background, so I can shift between it. Is and how far do you think that was going to go? It would be the same as your relationship with Sol, one-sided. Why do you always love things that can never treat you the same back?
And he's apparently got a history with Sol as well, so
yeah. Well, I want to bring back to what Dan implied, that the whip marks on his back hint at some sort of history with Venestra. I mean, it's a bit of a tenuous link, but would it be too much of a stretch to assume that he was her Padawan at some point?
I don't think it would be, considering if she's as high up in the order as she is, then considering how old he looks, it is entirely possible that he was her Padawan, and it's possible she was a lot stricter with him than most masters were, because if you've seen how she talks to the other Jedi, and how she is in general, I can only imagine. I mean, we see Sol is very compassionate towards the other Jedi around him.
Yeah.
So, and she seems to take issue with that in general. So, just throwing my hands up here, I think it is extremely likely they could go with the whole she was the one who tossed him aside. It's entirely possible that because he, when she started acting a certain way, and he said, "You see that right there is what will get them to get rid of you." That is the thing they don't want. A lot of what he's saying seems to be speaking from experience. It's entirely possible that they might be going for a whole, he sees a bit of himself in her. Like, he can probably sense the potential because he is quite powerful. It's possible he sees her as more better than a sister at this point, and it's just worked out this way. Like, maybe his long game was to get her and use a sister to get to her. That's maybe overcomplicating things, but it's possible. I know I'm getting off track, but yeah, I could see that she was the person who trained him or attempted to train him, and she was probably a lot more vicious with it, because it's not like Jedi Masters haven't been unfeeling little bastards.
Yeah.
It's possible he's done something in his training, and rather than reprimand him like most Jedi Masters will verbally reprimand their Padawans, or take them to the council or whatever, it's possible she was a lot more direct with her punishment, like not reporting what he's done, or just like a whole, this will teach you not to do it again kind of thing. So it is possible, and if she's as skilled as she is with the whip, the stat saber, it is very possible that she's able to flay his back quite a bit without killing him.
Yeah, but that's a very un-Jedi thing to do.
It is, but again, we're seeing a lot of un-Jedi-like behavior anyway with the Jedi, so the argument of the Jedi, that's not a very Jedi thing to do, doesn't really hold up when a lot of the Jedi don't seem to be doing that in the first place.
Yes, this is
seem to
true.
be having a lot of corruption in the actual order.
That's the thing. It doesn't matter how pure your order is, there's going to be some twat in there, especially eventually getting to high powers, into a high enough position to start corrupting it from the pillar down. And it could be that she knows. I mean, this is a big grasp, but it's entirely possible. She knows who it is. It's possible she can sense who it is, senses how powerful he is, and it's literally her past coming back together.
I mean, that would be a development.
But here's a stretch for you. What if Sol was one of her, but was someone she trained as well? What if that's how they know each other?
Maybe.
Because Sol knows who he is. Like, knows specifically who he is.
Yeah, Vanestra Rowe is quite young in the books, but she's old enough in this series to have mentored both of them.
Exactly. That's my point. It's entirely possible that he either was trained by her or was aware. Like, it's possible they were friends when they were being trained as younglings. And, you know, maybe Sol didn't come to his defense through anything, or you know, she basically tortured Smilo Ren enough to make this monster that's, you know, coming to fuck them up now.
Yeah.
It's also entirely possible that he was taunting him because he still had the mask on. It's like, you've met me and you didn't, and you can't even recognize my Force self. No,
Yeah.
no, the presence. That's the word I was looking for. You can't even recognize my Force presence. You've met me, and I was your prisoner. Yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough.
Well, in his
Yeah.
defense, he's wearing a mask.
Yeah, but there is possibly more still going on between them. I don't doubt that there is possibly more of a link than that, but I will put forward well, they've already given us an explanation. Now, is that just a red herring to that, or is that the actual explanation? Yeah. Well, she's older than I thought she was.
So yeah, that's my theory at this point. That's my theory for now, is that she's a lot more directly involved with this than she's giving off, and she's fully aware that shit's about to hit the fan. And she might be directly responsible for creating the problem.
It's in it's possible.
You know, it's very much the you keep smacking your kids and they turn into serial killers kind of approach.
Yeah,
I tried to discipline them, and they still ate that. They still ate all those people.
Yeah, it's entirely possible that she ordered the Jedi to go ahead with the Brandok mission of taking Osha and Meg. Given like her apparent seniority, that seems relatively likely as sort of a future revelation.
Yeah,
she knows everything about it, about the mission that Sol knows. So it sounds like she at least was sort of like reported back to her on the mission. Whether that was because she ordered it or because she was the senior one who interrogated them after. Well, Torbin's injured, and there's suddenly a lot of dead bodies that need explaining.
And they've been killed in such a way that it is again possible she knows someone who, you know, cuts this way, because Jedi tends to be able to tell just by the way certain people are you know, how people are I'm missing the word. Struck, that's the word. Sorry, brain fart. Yeah, how they've been struck, who's done what, or what style has done this. So again, she might just know who did it, and is in her own way shitting in her britches.
Yeah. Oh, although he never said the rule of two, I know. He said the power of two, which is a direct inference and callback to the chant from episode, I want to say, 2?
Free.
No, 3. 3. Of the
Yeah.
power of one, the power of two, the power of many.
Yeah.
Which I've seen paralleled with scenes from The Rise of Skywalker. I don't think that was the intention, but
It's also possible that he's trying to force a Diet in the same way that Palpatine tried to make himself and Vader a Diet.
yeah, maybe.
That fun piece of lore that doesn't get talked about a lot. Palpatine actively trying to force one on into existence, and I doubt he would be the first Darksider or indeed first Force user, full stop, to try, because a Diet gives the power of life itself. Is the statement they give.
Yeah.
Translation: if one of you dies, you can transfer all your life essence to the other one and die instead. and then get out of all the legal troubles you are facing as a genocidal maniac.
I didn't like that they had that happen and killed off Kylo Ren / Ben Solo. I think it would have been a lot more interesting if he lived. Yeah, but yeah, getting back to the episode, I have no complaints about the episode in general, other than the fact that they stay on the surface with a lot of things when they could have not.
Yeah.
Also, when Quimir says to Osha, if you want to make it to the ship before sundown, you better start swimming, didn't the ship look kind of close for that?
Yeah, but it's also looking like quite a vicious tide. And I'm going to hazard to guess that swimming is not necessarily a skill that's practiced a lot.
Yeah, maybe not.
It strikes me strangely, despite the fact you like get entire water planets, that the average citizen of the galaxy is probably less likely to be able to swim in Star Wars than in real life.
Yeah, because you get single biome planets in Star Wars, and many of them wouldn't have had big bodies of water.
It is also like water is like there'll be huge swathes of the population who just travel planet to planet via ship for so much of their life, like traders and everything else. And again, the problem of single biome planets, like Luke's mind should have been absolutely blown by the fact there's trees and greenery and water on Yavin 4 after growing up on the literal desert.
Yeah. I mean, that is basically Rey's reaction in The Force Awakens to Takadana, is it?
Yeah, never thought there was so much green in the galaxy.
Yeah.
But so it's entirely possible that Osha can't actually swim.
Yeah. And I'm sure Coruscant isn't the only metropolitan, like, big city planet in the galaxy.
It's the biggest of them because it's the galactic capital for 25,000 years.
Yeah.
The closest rival in legend was Taris before Malak just blew the planet to oblivion because there's because of important KOTOR plot reasons.
Curse you, Malak.
Yeah, but I don't think one has been named for canon. That is Arrival of Coruscant, but I would assume like 90% of the systems that became galactic capital, or when they started roaming it in the New Republic, were probably metropolitan planet.
Yeah, and
there was enough confusion in Episode 7 as to whether they blew up Coruscant enough that we can say at least one of them was a metropolitan planet.
I've just had a thought. Pip is in this picture. Does an X belong over the droid as he's been reset? Or...
I'd say no.
He's not dead.
He's been put on fact settings.
Yeah.
a question mark may be more appropriate.
Because it's entirely possible that she can, you know,
There's
he
a
can be restored.
Yeah.
I mean, he was hooked into the ship's computer for a while, so it's entirely possible that he is now in the ship.
Or I'm going to throw a bit of something that was actually planned for it's a completely unrelated thing, but it was done in Transformers Beast Wars. It's entirely possible, due to his condition and whatnot, and also, you know, anything else that's going on, that he's backed himself up to the ship.
Yeah.
Because I'm using Beast Wars for this because there was a character who died in the show, but the plan was he was going to be able to come back because he'd uploaded his mind and his essence effectively into the ship computer. So it's entirely possible that he can tell. Like, I don't know how quick upload speeds are to the ship, but it's entirely possible while Basil was doing the distraction thing, he figured out what was going on, backed himself up just in case. And if he gets plugged in again, they can easily get him back.
Yeah, is entirely possible Pip is just oh no, and then they're fine.
Yeah.
But it's strange how the droid has more personality than some of the characters we've meant to care about. Because I will admit, I probably was more attached to Yord just because I found the image of the himbo Jedi much more entertaining than I probably should have.
Yeah.
But,
Though I didn't find him that interesting as a character.
no, the idea of a himbo Jedi was quite entertaining.
Yeah.
Like we spent more time with Pip than we have Horny Mummy, Mama Anasea, Jackie, Yord, or Master Indira, and also Master Kalnaka and Master Torbin.
Yeah. Also, I just want to mention this when Pip sprayed sprayed May in the face. That was funny.
Yeah, it had a bit of sort of just sort of like almost Free Stooge energy, that scene, I must admit.
Yeah. Basil stomped on her foot and Pip squirted her in the eye.
Yeah, sprays her with some form of industrial coolant or lubricant by the
Leaping lubricants.
I don't know what that is, but I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to get that in your eyes.
Yeah.
The same said of most liquids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My eye. I'm not supposed to get industrial coolant in it.
Yeah. But no, Quimir it's definitely like forcing Osha to face why she's left the Jedi a lot more than anyone else had. So they just sort of went, oh, she left the Jedi, okay, and it's just sort of like we're finally getting a bit of the question of, or a bit of an answer to the question of why did she leave the Jedi?
Yeah. I also like that Quimir doesn't, I mean, Mora brought this up, but he doesn't really push her that much. He's got a very subtle touch to this.
Yeah, well, admittedly, he tries pushing her to kill him. But it's almost like he knows that she's not going to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and indeed, but she does ignite the lightsaber on him and then nearly cut his head off, which for him is that twice in 2 days that he's had a lightsaber dangerously close to cutting his head off.
Yeah.
Which, given that he keeps that head in a Cortosis helmet normally, it's probably a little unnerving.
Yeah. And then the episode ends on Osha putting on that helmet.
Doing the best Darth Vader impression.
Now I am Smilo Ren.
Wow, this is what it's like to be asthmatic.
Yeah. No, that was the original first draft ending to Return of the Jedi, is Luke puts his helmet on and goes, now I am Vader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Like, what would have made that ending perfect
what?
is if he walked into the room with the helmet on and then suddenly went, "It's time! It's time! It's Vader time!"
uh,
Little Van Skywalker.
I think his name was Peroshki in a filler character in Dragon Ball Z was based on Big Van Vader.
Vader has quite a few references in other fighting games as well, but that's a topic for another day.
Yeah, that's professional wrestler Big Van Vader, not Darth Vader.
Should I say it's interesting seeing the difference between where May is and where Osha is. And May is literally strapped down to a bed, and Osha is free to wander the planet and go and swim to the spaceship to get off the planet. Yet he is probably in a much safer situation than Osha.
Yeah, because the Jedi won't kill her. Well, she knows Sol won't kill her yet. The Jedi might put her to death judicially. If that is done, we don't actually know what the extent of punishment Coruscant allows is.
There are prison colonies, I know that, but it's known that the death penalty exists under the Empire, but I don't think the Republic does it.
No,
But
in fact, in canon, in my favorite canon book, Star Wars Bloodline, a big irony of that is that one of the principal characters lobbied heavily for the death penalty and then gets it in the end. Yeah.
But yeah, as far as I'm aware, the Republic tends to avoid the death penalty apart from military, essentially, extreme treason in times of war, which is Order 66, basically.
Yeah.
That is the premise of it. But for the most part, I don't think they do the death penalty, but I could be mistaken.
Yeah, it's not actually established one way or the other as of yet.
Yeah, I'm going to say on sort of like Coruscant, probably not. Kashyyyk, maybe.
Yeah. Either way, May is probably safe. She's not going to die.
Whereas Osha is on a planet that is unknown, but looks like it was filmed in exactly the same island in the Scottish Sea as Aktu, the planet Luke is on in Episode 8.
Yeah.
But they're filming on near enough the same island, which has, of course, led a lot of people to assume that this is Aktu, even though it is labeled as known planet, which sort of, I can believe it, but they've gone out of their way to not have porgs.
I was just about to say, if it were Acto, there would be porgs.
Then again,
the sneeze planet.
We see the rather pitiful range that porgs can actually fly. So it's entirely possible, like some bird species in Galapagos, they only exist on like singular islands.
Maybe.
But, but that doesn't suit Star Wars world building, does it? It's just all like, no, species that have no way to get across the galaxy have gotten across the galaxy.
Yeah, I'd appreciated them more than those creatures we got. They were weird.
The weird duck-looking things.
Weird duck-looking things with elephant trunks.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not buying these. Sorry.
Yeah, at least with the porg, you could believe.
Sorry, Dan.
They were an actual
just
creature.
put a normal bird in.
Yeah. I was just saying, at least with the porg, you could believe they were an actual creature.
Yeah.
Whereas these elephant duck things
defy all reason.
Well, they look like someone just got really upset with some Play-Doh.
To be fair, that's not the worst way to come up with a monster for a sci-fi franchise.
It's because I mean, just sort of like Doctor Who can demonstrate that you can make a monster out of anything, including an inflatable plastic chair or literal licorice ulcer. But sidetrack there.
Yeah.
I must admit, I love Neurotic's title for his video on this subject. The Fanfic Menace. Surely you could say that about anything that comes out about Star Wars that's not done by Lucas.
I mean, they generally do, don't they?
No,
Yeah,
they also
like-
do it with stuff that's come out by Lucas as well. I'll just remember how the people reacted to the prequels.
Yeah, those of us that are old enough to remember and have been on those forums and shit know that they were saying exactly the same shit back then.
I don't think they'd be happy unless they had Lucas strapped to a wall poking him with large hot sticks to come up with new ideas.
I don't think they'd be happy unless they're the ones writing Star Wars. That is just one of the fundamentals.
I would pay for like people to just come up to them and go, right, you think you can do better? There you go, and then I'd like to be the people tearing them to pieces for once.
Yeah.
Because I would give them zero mercy.
Oh, I'm sure.
I would judge them solely on the same way they judge other things. So I wouldn't watch it for a start.
And then you will still have the correct opinions of what's going on, of course.
Oh, Trigger can be brutal when he needs to be.
Yeah.
And Ollie, you got off lightly yesterday.
I wasn't brutal to Ollie yesterday.
I know, I said you were easy on him. You were easy. You haven't seen how brutal you can be.
Yeah, I didn't know what a fighting game controller was. I'd never encountered one, so I was befuddled by the fact that a controller in the year of our Lord 2024 would ship without a right stick. It's like, what the fuck is that?
Even though they've been around longer than
I'm not too sure we should address the year like that, though. I don't think there's any Lord in this day and age.
No,
I think God is dead.
Well, no. I also think that God is either... Well, my personal belief is God is either dead, weak, or evil. And in any case... But that's a different topic.
No,
I think God's just moved on to the new game of The Sims.
Look, the boy was being educated on the fact that these controllers have existed since long before he was even born, and they're just a thing that exists.
Yeah.
And why they're made to be the way they are.
Ollie has just reminded me of one of my favourite comments.
Oh,
and it's the God cannot be simultaneously all-knowing and good.
Yeah. Well,
because
go on.
No, I was just gonna say it was one of my favourite comments I've ever heard because it was just like, that's very true.
I think there's a part that might be part of a much larger thing, which is just sort of like God cannot be simultaneously all-knowing, all-powerful, and benevolent.
Yeah.
Because if he's all-knowing and all-powerful, then he's evidently not benevolent because kids with cancer.
Also can't be omnipotent and omnipresent.
Yeah.
Can't be everywhere and nowhere. And also, if he knows everything, why would the devil even try? Because he's going to know everything. He's
here's the thing. If you were good, you wouldn't have taken that bet to fuck over Job.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, the Job thing, yeah.
It's like, that answers that question. He can't be that good.
Also, just remember that the Israelites once asked for meat and he gave them poisonous snakes.
You could eat them.
No, they were sent there specifically to kill them, just so he could go, okay, does anybody else want some? He also murdered a guy for jizzing on the floor.
Okay, I kind of think we got a tiny bit off topic here.
Well, it depends. Was he in a child's school? Because I think you should do it for that.
But yeah, I liked the episode.
Yeah.
I like what it set up. It's just that with it being, I agree that with it being near the end of the series, it's a bit late to continue doing this shit.
Yeah,
they've got a lot to make up for.
Surface level stuff. They better start exploring some shit. I think, or they're gonna lose me.
You've done the show, don't tell. Now it's time to fucking tell.
Yeah, and also the better start having episodes over 30 minutes, not including the credits, because this one is only just over 30 minutes, not including the credits. It gets to 32. One before was 28. One before that was also 28. 1, 2, and 3 are 1 and 3 are both towards 40 rather than 35, but we are sitting at roughly 25 to 33 minutes an episode for a series that has extensively, for the time, averaged 35 minutes plus.
Yeah.
Credits are so long they eat up 8 to 7, 8 minutes of the show's runtime. And so, yeah.
They also just sometimes come in really abruptly, don't they?
Yeah. Like, I genuinely thought that, like, when they went in the helmet and the breathing, it's like, it felt like, yes, that was probably the right point to do it with the episode and ending on that. But it also felt like it was halfway through the episode only.
Yeah.
Just time, which...
I mean, it doesn't help the movie that they cut up.
It's, my biggest with this is very much becoming everything is too short, and it's like they're trying to pad a movie into a trilogy. Almost, while also, but they're padding it with credits rather than actual story.
Yeah.
This might be a very interesting watch if we cut it all up and put it together without the credits and the intros and go watch it as a movie.
Yeah. Someone make that fan edit. I don't have the attention span to do so.
I mean, I can do it with just studio.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think putting all the episodes back to back to back would make for a great movie just because of how long that would be. Mind you, this is episode 6 at half an hour each. We're just coming up to 3 hours.
Yeah, in all honesty, it's with the credits, the previously on the credits, and the intro of removing all of them, we're probably closer to averaging 20 minutes an episode.
Yeah.
So we're probably not even at 2.5 hours yet.
Yeah. I might do that when it finishes. I might take everything into Streamlabs and just edit it on video and sit there and watch it.
You said you're going to do the same thing with X-Men.
I did.
Oh, wow. Did it make more sense?
No. It actually made worse sense when I watched it all together. I was like, oh, God.
Now, there are fan edits on YouTube of the Star Wars prequels as one movie, or at least they were the last time I looked, and they hadn't been taken down. So, I'm thinking about it.
I said, I might do it, but just to see if everyone wants to watch it all in one go. And they'll be like, did that make more sense all in one go?
Yeah. Maybe. Although, depending on what it looks like, it might give a lot of truth to your suspicion that they just made a movie and chopped it up.
Mate, that's why I want to do it, because I feel like that's Disney's tactic at the moment. It's so obvious with the Hawkeye series that was just one show.
Yeah.
You know, and what was the other one?
I like the Hawkeye series though.
No, that's the thing. I like that series, but it's quite blatantly obvious that it was what it's supposed to be, like a film that's been cut up.
Yeah.
I mean, WandaVision wasn't as bad. I would say Captain America: Winter Soldier maybe would be better as a viewing experience as with One Piece. But
you mean Winter Soldier and the Falcon and Winter Soldier?
That's it. Thank you. I've been doing that recently. I've been referring to him as Captain America.
Well, he technically is.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm trying to get used to doing it.
Yeah, that's
Because I know full well we'll be doing a review on like a Marvel thing, and I'll be keep referring to him as Falcon because my brain doesn't work that way.
yeah. That's coming out at some point soon, apparently. They've been saying that for about 3
Well, what
years. It's coming out
aren't
soon.
aren't we like a couple of weeks off of Deadpool now?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that'll be interesting.
Where was Deadpool? Was
Comes
it-
out just before my birthday, I think.
Ah, you gonna go see it?
Probably not, because I've got the kids and whatnot.
It'd be a good first. Deadpool would be a good first cinema experience for Nicole.
I can't trust her to behave in a cinema.
Was it the 25th?
Oh wait, then it comes out after my birthday then.
3 weeks today, if it's the 25th.
The joke there was also they'd never let her in.
My local my local one has it down as the 25th, so that's what I'm going to go with.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, well, we've started talking about other things, and I think we've approached time on this podcast. So, does anybody have any closing thoughts?
Look, everything in this episode is, blatantly there and clear. We've gone with the fan theories of I like what it's setting up. I just wish it would get to the point already.
Get on with it.
But this isn't,
Yes, get on with it.
This isn't like a comic book where you can build things up over years, or even a long-running TV show that's going to be 12 episodes or so. This is only a few episodes to get things done, and you don't really have time for fannying about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the thing is, it's been stable all the way through the show, but I'm questioning this ending now. And they've got 2 episodes, and they've got a lot of stuff
Yeah,
to cover.
They've got some splaining to do.
If just 10 or 12 episodes, then this would be fine.
Yeah.
But it's not. I think that's its biggest weakness, is that it's only a few episodes.
Yeah.
And it's got a few episodes to wrap things up, so you're either going to get a rush project or something that takes the time to explain things, but then it means it has to rush the ending.
Well, this is that thing that I keep bringing up on landing the endings, and the problem is they've now got a nosedive so badly to get the plane on the ground that it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, sorry.
It could be the most epic landing imaginable. There's no way to tell.
Until it happens.
Fireball.
Yeah. I mean, me and Trigger have been banging the things don't have enough episodes these days drum for a bit.
It's been banging it on when we had the podcast originally.
I still stand by. The streaming services need to get their shit together and just go, you get 12 episodes. If you don't use them all, that's fine. But you can have 12 episodes.
Yeah.
Do you think we're afraid of that old thing from the 90s where everything would end up with a cliffhanger because it wasn't going to get a second season, but they didn't know that?
Yeah.
Because that was very common with a lot of 90s shows, was that even with like the 12 or even 2 seasons or so, they'd set things up, but they'd never be able to end. They'd never actually get a sequel or get to continue the series. So there was the the inevitable cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Well, it's the thing I said about that superhero sci-fi show that literally ended like on a cliffhanger, and they thought they were going to have another season, and they didn't. And it was just like, Alphas. Thank you. Keep forgetting the name of that show.
They made it a plot point on The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, that's why I always remember it as that show that got cancelled, and it just disappeared. And I was like, "Hey, that was a good show." I watched all of it, and I was like, but literally, for some reason, because there's so much superhero stuff, I can never remember the name of it.
The name is quite generic, but yeah, I think I'm worried. I'm starting to worry a bit more about the ending. Like, it probably started to set in about episode 4 and 5, sort of like, well, how are they going to wrap this all up when they've definitely left the feeling of there's going to be another full flashback episode in there?
Well, here's the interesting question: do we think they're going to leave something like really open for a different project to answer?
Yeah, there might even be a season 2. We don't know that there won't be.
Yeah, I think it would be really unsatisfying. It's just sort of like to sit at the end it without like just sort of like will there be a season 2? Well, bloody hope so, because they've left it not on a cliffhanger, but just too open ended.
Yeah.
May I push for Disney to take up my idea of doing an all Ewok cast of Star Wars?
What, you want to do Caravan of Courage again?
No, I mean they steal like a ship and just they're off.
Ewoks in space.
That very well might be what Skeleton Crew turns out to be.
Oh God!
Yeah, of which I must say the Star Trek fandom and the writers of Star Trek Prodigy are pissed at the announcement of Skeleton Crew, because it's basically a group of young people find a ship and sail off for adventures in the galaxy. Hang on, that's the entire plot premise of Prodigy.
You know, I watched Prodigy and I was like, it was fine, and then I just went no. I was happy with it, and then at a certain point, I just went, now I'm done. And I was like, this was so good, and then you just lost me.
Well, there's a chance that it might be able to drag you back in because season 2 came out yesterday on Netflix. Yeah, because us went, we love Prodigy, we're cancelling it.
I watched like most of season 1, and I was like, okay, this is good. And I started watching something else, and I was just like, it's lost me.
And anyway, just trying to get back to my summation of, I enjoyed the episode. I think there's a lot of work in the next 2. The next 2 better be the 2 longest episodes in the season, otherwise it's going to be very, very dense, I think, and not in a satisfying way of a lot of things being resolved.
Yeah, I'm just gonna echo that. The next couple of episodes have got some friggin' ground to cover.
Yeah. I can see the season ending with Soul being blamed with Soul and May being blamed for everything, especially after he went off after just turning the transponder off. He is alone with May, and there are now 7 dead Jedi. And we know that May is a wanted figure, and he's just run off with her without alerting any of the Jedi.
Yeah, that looks bad.
Yeah, but I will also say, as sort of like a final note of the fact around the Acolyte in general, thanks to stats gained this week, turns out the Acolyte is the second most streamed series of Star Wars that Disney Plus has released. Can you guess what the first one?
What?
Clone Wars.
Obi-Wan.
Oh.
Not
what I hoped for, but I'm not disappointed.
I didn't have a problem with Obi-Wan. I enjoyed Obi-Wan.
It's basically a 4th prequel movie.
Yeah, Obi-Wan is the top of the Disney ones. The Clone Wars, I don't think counted in it because most of it was done pre-Disney. Like a lot of that, or a chunk of it, was done before Disney took over. So I don't think the Clone Wars counts as a Disney released one. But it means the Acolyte has beaten near enough everyone's sort of favourite, and this is the best that Star Wars has been for a while, of Andor, in terms of streams and engagement, as in positive engagement, not review bombing.
Yeah, although I will still push for Andor as a thing that everyone should watch because it's really good.
Yeah. That also sort of highlights one of the central issues around it. Is like the show does not need to be good to be popular. Like we like the good shows, but but also, as is demonstrated by the fandom, we like the really sort of pandery fan service nonsense and anything that gives us a lightsaber fight.
Here's the question, though. Maybe people are finally listening to me. Maybe they're watching it and going, "Oh God, this is terrible." Because I don't mind that as long as they're watching it and then they make their own mind up.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
mind what your opinion is as long as I believe it's yours and you came by it honestly.
I just don't like sheep.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, on that note,
though.
sorry.
They may not like sheep, but they do make good kebabs.
Well, obviously, I like kebabs. I just don't like sheep.
Yeah.
There's a place for them then.
Yeah. On that note, I'll echo previous sentiments. Good episode, nice bit of character interaction. I wish they'd explored certain concepts more thoroughly than they did, but other than that, I like the not so subtle allusions to Kylo Ren and visual similarities to The Last Jedi, just because that is a film I really like. And you know, I realise that's just the other side of the coin of people hating it for those reasons, which I sort of implied was not a good way of doing things earlier. Although, in fairness, I think liking things because they invoke a thing you like is more fun than hating things because they evoke a thing you hate.
Yeah.
Oh, can I just say also,
Yeah?
them not telling you what kind of ship they are in is not a sin of this series.
No, it's not. Like having a ship in Star Wars is kind of like having a car. It just moves along a y-axis, to quote Cinema Wins.
No, I've just had people. I've seen so many people going, "Oh, they never go into detail about what ship they're on." I'm like,
Because it doesn't matter.
what? That is one thing. I was sitting there going, "What would that add to your brain right now?"
There's a YouTuber I watch on and off that I sometimes agree with, sometimes don't, called JXE, who had a little jingle they used to sing, and it would go, "This is a thing that the movie should not be taking time out to explain, because taking time out to explain this would detract from the pacing and add nothing to the plot."
I'm going to clip that and have that as a thing.
Yeah. I'll find it in. I don't know if they still do it, but I'll find a video with it in. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's a perfectly valid criticism of films, because there are too many films that take the time out to explain things that don't need to be explained. And there are the people who will then utilize the opposite of, "Oh, it didn't take the time out to explain."
No, it was specifically in response to people complaining that something wasn't explained.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
they don't explain things because it would be bad if they did.
Narratively, it makes no sense to explain it. Like the helmet in the last episode is just sort of like, yes, you may not know what the substance is called offhand, but you know what it does, which is short out lightsabers and not allow them to cut straight through it.
Also, he explained it in this episode.
Look it up.
He called it cortosis in this episode. It has been explained.
Yeah. And it's just sort of like the middle of a lightsaber fight is not the time to try and give a lore exposition.
Haha.
Yeah,
Like,
do you imagine how that would have gone in the show?
He nods the
Literally in the
lightsaber and
middle-
goes, "Haha, your lightsaber has made contact with my cortosis ore helmet, which will short-circuit it momentarily."
Which I must point out is the most stupidest thing you could do in a battle is explain why you're winning to them.
Yeah.
Because that's going to stop you winning.
what your mysterious advantage is.
Yeah. You can't kill me while I have this active. Right,
Yeah.
shoot that then. Oh, fuck.
Or the, like, this is much more sort of a trope in video games and sort of things. Or the villain goes, "You'll never find my weak spot," which then instantly alerts the heroes that there is a weak spot. And it's probably the glowing item they're holding.
That is literally the 5-man raid party going, "You will never kill us while our healer is still alive." Fireball.
Healer's down.
Healer down. Healer down.
Or is this with a single word, Black Vault can destroy you. destroy.
exactly. That is
Oh,
the
for
problem
God's
with
sake,
that
really.
scene. It was just literally, with a single word, he can kill you.
Word from
Well,
what
he's
mouth?
fucked now. Thanks for that.
Yeah,
Uh,
with his singing voice. Would have been a better one. Just make him tone deaf.
on that note, I think we should close out the podcast. Does anyone have anything they want to plug?
Not that I can think of at this time. I'm going through some renovations and some sort of ideas, so I've got new things working on.
Yeah, you got some stuff in the pipeline.
Well, I'm planning something big for a couple of weeks' time when I've got the house to myself for 2 weeks.
Ah, awesome.
So I hope everyone will be free around that time.
It's a fucking pub stream, isn't it?
Right, I'm just gonna be sitting at my computer for the whole 2 weeks, just streaming live, banging my head against the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are you doing? Going slowly mad.
Okay, as of yesterday, going blind.
What do you mean going mad? You've been mad all the time I've known you. Which admittedly is the shortest of anyone here.
I know,
currently.
do you know how weird it was earlier? I sat down and I went, what is that song that has been annoying me for like 24 hours? And I sat here and just kept trying to figure out what the song was. And it was literally a what was it? Let me find it. It was a song that was like 5 years ago called Strange Disease.
Can't
Right.
say it. Offhand.
It's from Simon and Milo, and I was sitting there going, "Oh my god, that has been annoying me for 3 bloody days."
Just won't leave your head.
Well, that was the thing. No, it wasn't playing in my head. It was just, what was that song that you used to enjoy listening to? And I was like, the back of my brain was just like itching the whole time, going, "Oh, I now have to figure out what that song was called." And I sat down and I was like, was it Disturbia? Was it Down with the Sickness from Dawn of the Dead? And I went, no. And I went, literally, as soon as I said it, I went, oh, Strange Disease. And then I put it on, and now I've got it in my head.
Yeah. Oh dear. So you. Yes. Anyway, perhaps for the
Anyway.
third or fourth time, it is probably quite possibly time to end. Apart from well, me and Ollie have Assassin's Sunday on Sunday, where we play through the Assassin's Creed games. It's 8 o'clock on Ollie's channel.
We will be finishing off with the best Assassin's Creed game, Ghost of Tsushima.
Where we will be travelling to Iki Island for the DLC.
Yeah, we finished the story last week. After that, I have Mafia Monday, where we'll be capping off Yakuza 4. And Tonbury Tuesday, where we stand a very real chance of getting at least a good way through Final Fantasy 4. And also we have Goblins vs. Strahd, a Curse of Strahd adventure. All Goblin Party on twitch.tv/EclecticHawk.
You will be able to join all 4 of us and others.
Yes.
Including Seb, who would normally be with us, but was unfortunately unavailable.
Oh,
Yeah,
would
well-
it help if I made you like a pop-up for Goblins vs. Strahd that you could just pop up on your screen?
Yeah, that'd be great.
I will make you a pop-up with like the date and the time and the channel written on there for you.
I mean, I'll still rattle it off, but it'll be good to have a visual aid.
Just so you could just hit the view button and it will pop up on your screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and which in the last week we barely survived an encounter with Strahd's brides because some of the party decided to give Strahd an interesting show.
Yes.
I still stand by. He did not have to watch. He could have turned off.
Yeah.
Good.
But the
And also, Also, we've got to give Trigger credit because he was the one who, said Strahd's name. So he was watching the whole thing, and now he's pissed. So now we've subjected the bride to tortures beyond explanation.
Which we basically narrowed down to Escher being treated well as tortures beyond explanation for every other partner of Stride.
Yeah, you don't need to explain anything. You don't need to explain anything more than they are going to get the worst tortures ever, lose basically all of their minions, and just for shits and giggles, why not starve them as well? We'll have the good blood, and you can have the rat's blood.
If you can find the rat.
Yeah, I'm not giving you anything. You got to hunt the rat yourself.
Bitch, I ain't no helicopter husband. Sink or swim, bitch.
And we will hopefully see some of you for all of those things. Until then, may the force be with you, and we'll be signing off now. Good night, everybody.